Hello, everyone. And yes, the camera does still work. Um, I wanted to put this video up, um, and it should be out the Monday after I'm recording. Things go according to plan. But it's a bit different because we're not looking at any of the books specifically, we're not looking at the law specifically, but we are still looking at writing because I wanted to do a video focused around basically another dyspraxia video, but sticking with the theme of how mine tend to go with the shorts and stuff like that. I'm talking about basically the strengths and that can happen for people with dyspraxia, and how for me that's correlated and linked to the books, the writing, and just everything that associates with it. So I'm just starting this recording now. I don't know how long the video is going to be, so maybe sit in for a lengthier one. It kind of depends how much I ramble. But first of all, going to address something that for me has worked. I know that this may not necessarily be the case for every dyspraxic creator, but then again it might be. And that is just how to go about doing these things and what's worked for me, basically. And one of the things that has worked, and I continue to effectively do that now, is just it's changed format slightly, is when I've been writing, I've always found it challenging to, and it goes back to how I did homework with school and stuff like that. I always struggled to just set down to one thing and drift forward with that, push forward and complete it. With the writing side of it, in particular, it's been a case of beyond the first book when I was but then again, I was doing other things because I was doing that whilst also studying, so. But I find it difficult to just solely focus on one. And it's not a case of I get sidetracked or elements like that. It's more, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't flow as well because it, one of the things is, and I'll address this a bit more later, is the idea of a sort of creative overdrive, which is something that can happen with dyspraxia, and or I guess it's a work overdrive. It's just for me, it's manifested itself in the writing more than anything else, and it's where it can just get locked in and focus and over and over and over again, and can go on for several hours. I've found the little drawback that when I do that, I do have a tendency of forgetting to drink. Eating is fine. Drink, I kind of just have one sat there and then just don't register it being there for a good couple of hours. So, But the idea that I'm trying to get across to begin with how I go about the writing is working on multiple things at once, whether it's been working on two different stories or a story and the world building or just different elements that help with that, or even one and then just planning another at the same time. And it means that one of the crucial things that does hit writers, the writer's block. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm never going to get hit by it, but so far I haven't been. And I think that is a testament to that, because when you get hit with writer's block, it tends to be focused around one story, but you're focusing on multiple, you're still being productive, which means you're not then beating yourself up as though, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. No, you're being productive. It's just one thing's being held whilst others are going forward. And yeah, creatively, it has had a couple of little drawbacks here and there. One of the ones is two of the stories when I was working on them simultaneously, I got one of the character names mixed up and started adding him into the wrong story. But the idea of being able to focus on these different ones, because dyspraxic brains, we know, for those of you who have dyspraxia or know about it, we know how our brains operate. We know that the signals get a bit mixed. They can be a little bit all over the place. You can have, on the one hand, you can struggle with like some of the basic things, but on the other, you can have pretty much a constant sort of mind map up there that's just constantly spreading and coming out with other ideas, and it's just, and being able to put more of those ideas to the page quicker by working on these different plans and works at the same time, it also avoids the crucial factor of, or it doesn't avoid, but it certainly nullifies quite a bit of the issue of forgetting them, because that has happened multiple times to me, but it hasn't happened as much as it would if I was just solely focused on the other and just like, okay, I'll put that one in the back pocket and sort it later, because that hardly ever works. But I like to keep that focus with these split projects, and I do it at the moment as well. It's just, it's changed formats in a way as other creative stuff has come in as well. And again, it does have to be balanced, because you can try and do too many at once and that can end up causing other issues. But in terms of the strength that I've found through it, that is one of the key ones. And going into another quite common seen strength for a lot of people with dyspraxia is the resilience aspect. And yeah, I've participated in a couple of events and stuff, craft fairs and stuff like that with the books, a little while back now. And I mean, they were great experiences, and it did connect and it started getting the word out a bit more. In terms of sales, wasn't great, but, and one of them was a complete and utter flop for pretty much everyone who was there. It was organised really poorly. But the fact that going through those experiences and the other elements of just posts not getting the viewing, or the ability to be able to take all of that in and still get up and continue is something that I do highlight, and I do associate it in twofold. I associate it with where I went to secondary, because a massive push there was about resilience. It was something that got very heavily drummed into us. But the other part is dealing with the dyspraxia, growing up with it, and just being able to build up a resilience to be able to get up and continue pushing forward with this and continue basically not losing faith in it is, I think, maybe a better term. And that does sort of drift maybe into the determination aspect as well. But, and I'm making small little notes of these elements that have happened on the writing journey. I'm not going massively into specifics about it, because this is more about how the dyspraxia affects more than what my personal journey is. Be up for doing that if anyone's interested, but I'm not going to do that now. But one of the other elements. And one of the things that's been coming out recently on the channel, I've been doing stuff on hunting, I've been tying together a little bit with Warcraft with the fan theory, and I've been doing the flat videos over inspiration. I've been looking a lot at the inspiration side recently for like content and something a bit different other than me just throwing out this new lore stuff or here's the book, you can go and pick it up here. It's just trying to give it a bit of ground, giving it a bit of foundation. And one of the best things that I do really associate with how the mind operates is that ability where both through what I'm doing work-wise at the moment as well as, no, in terms of an actual part-time job, as well as this, is that in everything that I am doing, it has been, I'm allowed to put to use a strength that is not necessarily thanks to the dyspraxia, but is actually enhanced by it, or at least that's how I like to look at it, because I refuse to look at the dyspraxia in the sense of just the flaws. I know they're there, I know that they're not going away, but there's two sides to it. There's the flaws and then there's the strengths. And some of the strengths that it takes a while to even realise are somewhat connected or have the potential of being connected to dyspraxia. And I know this is dyspraxia focus, I will just say autism, ADHD, all the others, you still have those strengths, they just manifest differently, potentially. But the one that I like to associate with dyspraxia more than anything is that ability to connect what I'm doing through the vivid imagination and stuff, but connecting and tying it back to my passions and finding a way, both as a creator and what I'm doing, to spin these back around and bring them back to it. The video on the inspirations behind Avalas, Lord of the Rings, Narnia, Warhammer, also Warcraft to a little bit of an extent, and then you tie it round to some of the other content I'm doing at the moment. I've done a Warcraft What If. One of the things I'm doing on stream at the moment is a Lord of the Rings mod, and when that mod ended up crashing last week, I just altered to another Lord of the Rings game, and it's just keeping this together. And I know the hunting stuff with Soul is a little bit new, but there's some other stuff being worked on which has actually had a lot of the background work already solidified, which is, again, bringing in creativity and a little aspect of gaming to it, but it's the ability to be able to pull all those things together. Massive lover of history, Soul and Code are filled with history, but it also has the knock-on effect where writing the world building and the history of Avalas is something that I really enjoy. And it's just building the foundation and the depth of that world and allowing for more to be done with it. But the way that I can connect it, the way that I can bring these things forward, and even tapping into other associations like nature, but doing it differently, in the sense of, yeah, we've got the animals and everything like that, and they all have purposes, but with some of them we've twisted it, or I've twisted it a little bit from what they're usually seen as, or thrown ones that you don't see in fantasy much, like kingfishers. But you have those aspects, and drawing it back, because trying not to go onto the tangent of talking about world building and stuff. But again, it is an aspect of it, the creative ability and that way of being able to connect the dots and be able to connect them in ways that not everyone would think of, in the sense of something I've taken for this background hunting D&D stuff that's being worked on where have I taken inspiration from it? I've taken inspiration not from just my own country or things from that, because it's legend and myth and everything. I've taken it from my own county, like the actual region I'm in, and is that nice aspect of try to keep it, as a creator, try to keep it homegrown, try to find the foundation from around you and stuff like that. And my first protocol was history, and then I realised it's like, oh wait, there's legend and myth as well. So, but it's just being able to connect those dots and everything and bring it together. And it's like, and even just allowing the mind to just ask yourself, it's like, I wonder if this will work. And yeah, the imagination build up, the ability to retain it, and also, again, another little dyspraxic bit, the long term memory. Cannot understate how key that is in all of this as well. Just being able to just filter back in here in the archives and everything and just tap in and bring something out. And it is something that I do find very reassuring and positive, because the way I see it, what I'm doing right now is utilizing the strengths, and instead of just looking at the dyspraxia and looking at it as just the challenges and the flaws, it's like, okay, yeah, you've got the challenges and the flaws and it makes the struggles and everything, but what about the other side? What about the positive? What about the strengths? How does that affect? How does that tap into all of this? And I will say it does manifest in other ways as well. Like, if you had a look at my file list, it's a mess. It's like, the organisation is okay on the writing side and things, but when it comes to other stuff like the videos and everything, it's just all over the place. And I do try and organise, and it doesn't ever really go very well. So some of that does still slip in, but yeah, it's just a nice element to all of this, really. The creativity, the memory, the resilience of it, and yes, also the determination, not just in the case of being knocked down but get up again, but it's also, right, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. Or if that proves unrealistic, I'm going to do the majority and then spread these other things to the next time I do this sort of stuff and blend it that way. And yeah, it is a fun aspect to do. I mean, I had that earlier this week. I set myself a complete to-do list to do. It was a to-do list. I've got the sheet right next to me now. It was a to-do list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things to do, and I did 7 of them. And as dyspraxia with the concentration and stuff like that, is finding that attitude and blend which switches out from the struggles and into the determination and the hyper focus. And the one thing I will say is that hyper focus stuff, that plays a lot into the creative and the imagination side. That's not something that you can force. When it happens, it happens. And yeah, some of the time it works, other times it's a bit inconvenient, like when you go into a creative overdrive at like after 10 p.m. at night and you're realising it's like, I need to get sleep. It's also so you stretch out and you are able to do stuff, but at the same time it's like, oh, I got all of this done and most of it's good, but there's a little issue there and there and there. Right, just switch those around. Or you end up just writing the same stuff again because tired brain. And it's like, okay, just remove that. But there are a lot of positive aspects as a creator that play into it and being able to tap into it. And this is one that I am also going to say, and it kind of flows into this as well, but sort of not at the same time. Or there's other stuff I do that it applies more for, but that's the whole empathy aspect. creator, writer, coming up with characters and everything, think on the empathy brain is like, right, how can I tap into the emotional side? How can I give the theme? And there's the other aspect is playing on the themes as well. It's just, how do I bring this across? And I would say when it comes to emotional writing, I'm not too bad. Not the best, but I'm not too bad. But I don't know what I'm doing here. Villain. Um, it is. Yeah, it really is just one of those nice little additional aspects to it that does play into the writing and other elements of the creativity, but obviously you branch out from the writing and stuff, and there's not as much you can use with it. But even other elements like being able to portion a little bit from the inspirations to use, like the front cover of Soul of the Gem and the whole way the necklaces work and everything. And I'm not. There might be something else linked in here, so I'll just say that there is other Soul of the Gem content if you want to find out more about that. But it is absolutely inspired by one of like the key mechanics of Hunting, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush about that. It is, but I have also made it different because, again, these are things that I'm inspired by Lord of the Rings, Hunting, and what they do and everything. I'm inspired by them and what they build and how they do things, and I want to take that and use it in my work. I don't want to directly copy and paste what they've done. It does have to have twists, it does have to have the alterations. But I'm trying to just rack brain across the other aspects on the dyspraxia focus and stuff and the strengths. And there are plenty of strengths, and just the whole way the mind works with how going about planning and things like that. For me, looking at the plan, I found the system that works, even if that system is just a spam of Word documents. For me, it works. Someone else would look at that and be absolutely mortified. But there is just this nice ability to tap into the stuff that, yes, can be strengths of the dyspraxia. I like to think that outside of that, I already did have some of those elements and strengths, like the resilience and stuff like that, and the dyspraxia has just helped enhance it. And it's a nice avenue to look down. And I mean, again, I'm not trying to be dismissive of the flaws, they're there, but so are the strengths, so are the positive aspects, and bringing that to the fold sometimes as well. Um, I I don't think I've got really anything more to add to that. The thing is that I'm probably going to say I haven't got that much more to add to this, and then I'll be sat around doing something else later, and it will suddenly occur to me, it's like, oh, I could have mentioned that, or this. um, but yeah, it's a nice little video choice to share and just talk a little bit about how it impacts the writing and stuff, because obviously I use the online writing and stuff like that. I do note take as well, try and keep the handwriting somewhat functional. um, yeah. There are some other things with the books in general being worked on. Uh, this video again was the first dyspraxia based one I've done in a while, and it was partly inspired by a post I saw yesterday as well, just talking about the positivity angles of it and things, and it did sort of inspire me to get going and write this, or record it, I should say. Um, but yes, there are some more things coming through soon. Some stuff I'm still working on the best way to do, because some of it's new to what I've already been doing. I haven't tried it before, so it'll be interesting. And yes, I don't really think I've got too much more to share on that. So I'm going to say, hope you guys enjoyed the little ramble session. Sorry for all the buts and ums. Welcome to the Kingdom of Avalas and the world of Felomine books. If you want to catch the books, the links are in the description. I'm also going to probably tag in places like the Dyspraxia magazine and maybe a couple of the other groups in there as well, because, again, Dyspraxia focus. So, woo. And I think I actually had my badge with me somewhere, but I can't remember where I've put it right now, so cheerio.